Alright, YouTube, what's good, man? It's your boy K Show. I'm back with another reaction video. So, like I said, I had another video coming. I wanted to say this one for the last, because this one is actually longer. But this is Team Babysitter claims B Diddy R.A. You know what, her. I will not be saying this word at any point in the video because it is YouTube, and also the word alone makes me want to, like, just crash out because that shouldn't happen to anybody. And if this is too sensitive of content for you to watch, I apologize to anybody that has went through this type of experience or just has trauma from even, seeing cases that involve this that have been proven as, like, guilty or true. And let me put this like this as a disclaimer on this, since it's a claim. You're always innocent until proven guilty. Obviously, we're going to watch the video together. I have not watched the video yet, but make sure you like, subscribe, comment, turn on post notifications, and let's get into this video, man.
The lawsuits against...
I almost forgot. Also, make sure you go subscribe to Law and Crime Network, and make sure you hit the like button and keep up with their content. They post good case content like this, and it's awesome to see. All right, let's get it. Let's go.
Against disgraced music industry and business mogul Sean Diddy Combs are not slowing down. Another lawsuit was just filed out in New York State Court on Monday, where an unidentified woman says that she was a 16-year-old babysitter when she was cornered by Combs and two associates and brutally assaulted. I'm going to be taking a closer look at the lawsuit right now and how it compares to other complaints against Sean Combs. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime.
All right, so now I know what to look for. It's like a compare and contrast allegation case.
All right, so now it's time to talk about this new lawsuit. And
wait. Did he say 16 years old? Well, he said the lady is 40 now, I believe. So he said the lady was 16 at the time. So that's 24 years ago. So 2001, is that when the claim is? In that case, so 4 years old, 24, 55, that's 24, 30. So he was about 15 years older than the girl that is accusing him of this claim, according to this, according to the video. Okay, let's keep that in mind.
And we have an anonymous woman who would be in her 40s right now who says that she was just a high schooler working to make a little extra money as a babysitter when she was targeted by Sean Diddy Combs. Now, she, of course, is not the first and likely not the last to file a lawsuit against the music and entertainment mogul, right? As you know, Combs currently locked up in the Metropolitan Detention Center out in Brooklyn, New York, awaiting trial on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Right now, his trial is scheduled to begin on May 5th, 2025. When you think about that, that is just right around the corner. We'll see if that date sticks, but I'll tell you what, we'll actually get a little bit more into the details about that trial timeline in just a minute. But first, I want to talk about this latest lawsuit. So it was filed in New York State Court on Monday. It is a state case, not a federal case. The named defendants are Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Bad Boy Entertainment Holding, Inc., doing business as Bad Boy Records, Combs Enterprises, LLC, and John Doe 1 and John Doe 2. By the way, I have to say, it's always interesting talking about Sean Combs' affiliated companies in these lawsuits because we can't forget that prosecutors in the Southern District of New York say that Combs was using the employees, the resources, and the influence of his multifaceted business empire to further a criminal enterprise. That is the main allegation in the indictment that he's currently facing. According to the indictment that was handed down by a grand jury back in September, quote, the defendant operated his business, headquartered at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles, under a variety of United States-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global, collectively the Combs businesses.
So basically, they're trying to say these spots that he had were more like almost like a setup in a way. Interesting.
Entities in the Combs businesses included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. And later on in the indictment, the government alleges members and associates of the Combs enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. While he was saying it, I was just reading it. 'Cause I already had finished reading it. It makes my stomach hurt to even see this type of stuff. And I feel bad for people that kind of look up to somebody like this, especially if this stuff comes all to fruition, is proven as, true and guilty. Because then you're going to change your viewpoint about somebody so much. And I'm sure many people that grew up in that era of, Biggie, Smalls, and all that, when Biggie Smalls was coming up, and also, Diddy was coming up, I can't imagine how they kind of looking at this, especially if there was people that were really riding for him to keep being successful, or even business partners, bro.
The defendant and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprises affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees, such as members of Combs security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs. Now, to be clear, Combs has always maintained his innocence. He has entered a not guilty plea in federal court, reportedly told his attorneys that he can't wait to fight the allegations in court.
That's one of the reasons. That's exactly why I put the disclaimer
for a trial that is less than a year after he was arrested. You don't usually see that in a.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's why I said in the beginning, you're always innocent until proven guilty. Right now it's a bunch of allegations and claims, and I'm not saying I'm defending P. Diddy in any way, shape, or form, but that is a true thing of law. You are innocent until proven guilty. So even with all the stuff that's being said, without evidence is coming along and everything like that, or people are starting to speak up on the different allegations and cases, but we have to respect somebody's innocent until proven guilty battleground area, honestly.
Criminal case. And while Combs had previously settled that bombshell lawsuit that was filed against him by Cassandra Ventura, the one that really got the ball rolling on all of these legal actions against him, he has never been found liable for any misconduct in any of these lawsuits. I want to be clear about that. And he and his attorneys have adamantly denied claims of sexual assault in all of these lawsuits. By the way, totally off topic here, but I got to tell you something that I am very, very excited about. I have been using this men's grooming line for years. It's called Brickle. They're amazing.
Oh,
and now they are a sponsor.
No, buddy. No, sir. You're not promoting your ad right now, bro. Get back to the video. I ain't lying. For me skipping this little sidebar ad, I hope y'all, or Brickwell, make sure y'all sponsor me one day. But right now, that's not what we here for, man.
The QR code on screen and claim your free.
But make sure y'all go use the promo.
So here, Jane Doe is alleging that the two identified men who were with Combs, again, John Doe 1 and John Doe 2, they are believed to be his employees, and that they helped facilitate her alleged sexual assault.
Okay.
Now, her verified civil complaint reads, plaintiff brings suit against defendants to redress the substantial and lifetime injury she has suffered as a result of being drugged, sexually assaulted, and abused by Sean Combs or P. Diddy, while co-defendants facilitated and or directly participated in the action of Combs.
That's true. That
something
is
to address
sick,
real quick. A common argument would be, well, why is she filing a lawsuit now 25 years later? Right? If this really happened, why didn't she speak up earlier?
25
That is a
years,
conversation that's been happening in the Sean
So
Combs
he was in
case
his
from the very
30s when this is
You
being
could
accused
argue
of.
that,
No.
well, okay, it looks like it's a payday. She's just trying to jump in with all the other lawsuits that are being filed against Sean Combs. The other way of looking at it is,
the future of your business is here. With Wix, you get advanced AI capabilities.
you were Sean Combs, right? If these allegations are true and you were scared about coming forward, and particularly if you were a minor when this happened, did you really think he was untouchable? He was untouchable. you can't really go after him. But when you see the multitude of lawsuits that are being filed against him and that he's currently behind bars, he's not out on bail, they may feel safe to come forward with their claims now. But nonetheless, she still has to prove that this happened, just to win her case. And let's talk about that, because Jane Doe is suing for violation of New York's Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. We've talked about this many times here on Sidebar. This created a look-back window for victims to come forward and file claims, even if the statute of limitations would have normally run out and that their claims would have been time-barred. And that's where laws like the Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act comes in.
I'm not digging in my
As
nose.
of March 1st, 2023, victims could pursue civil claims for past offenses no matter when they happen.
That feel hard.
Look-back window
That feel
closes
clear, bro.
pretty soon, though. It's set to expire in March of 2025. Now, in her complaint, Jane Doe's attorneys write that, quote, "The conduct of defendants, including but not limited to Combs' physical and sexual assaults of plaintiff in New York City, constitutes a crime of violence, and a crime of violence motivated by gender." So in other words, it's done through some animus because she's a woman. And a crime of violence motivated by gender against the plaintiff, as defined by the New York City Gender Motivated Violence Act. In other words, you have to say that this act was motivated because of some sort of animus because she was a female. Now, it says the acts of the co-defendants fall clearly into prescribed behavior by either committing, directing, enabling a conspiracy in the commission of the offending behavior. According to the complaint, Jane Doe grew up in Lower Manhattan. She was 16 years old, living with her father and stepmother when she started working part-time as a babysitter in a building around the corner. Again, this is back in 2000. One of the women who lived in that building is described in this complaint as, quote, "a well-known woman with whom the defendant was in a relationship." Now, Combs had started his meteoric rise to the top of the hip-hop world during the 90s, was a very well-known name at this point, especially in New York City. And the complaint reads, on or about in between late August or early September 2000, when she was 16 years old, just before school started, plaintiff was working as a babysitter in the building where Combs' romantic partner lived. As she left the babysitting job and was exiting the building, the plaintiff came upon Combs, who was in the presence of two male individuals who apparently worked for him. Combs was sitting in a car with the door open. Combs engaged her in conversation, asking where she was going so late at night and that it was not safe for her to be walking alone. She advised Combs that she lived around the corner, was familiar with the neighborhood, and would be fine. Combs offered a ride home several times, which she continued to refuse. After much cajoling by Combs, she agreed and got into his car.
Okay, so innocent until proven guilty, right? So let's just say this happened. For anybody watching any video relating to something like this, or that gets put in a similar situation, if you're not comfortable with taking that ride, even if somebody says, "Oh, it's not safe," and yada yada yada, stick with your heart or your gut and just do what you're doing. If you rather take the risk of putting yourself in that situation versus getting into a vehicle with somebody you don't feel comfortable getting into it with, you just keep walking and go along with your day. That's just person to person. Now, if it's like a family member, you're supposed to be able to trust your family. So, but not everybody has their best intentions for you. That's real stuff right there.
Getting into Combs' car that day was something plaintiff would come to regret forever. During the ride, plaintiff became scared when they did not drop her off at home as promised. The defendant gave her a drink to, quote, calm her down.
Oh, my God.
My name is Sean.
She soon became groggy and unsteady. Combs and his staff, the two male co-defendants, proceeded to a location where she was sexually assaulted by Combs. Now, this is something that has been alleged time and time again against Sean Combs, that he or his associates would use tainted drinks to make the victims compliant. In multiple lawsuits against Combs, alleged victims claim that they had a drink at a party or an audition before starting to feel woozy or sleepy, and these victims say they don't know exactly what happened to them after that, but they allege, many of them, that they would regain consciousness and they would find Sean Combs sexually assaulting them.
Okay, so the stories are pretty consistent. Now, what some people may look at this is like they're using like a copy and paste theorem. And what I mean by that is they're kind of repeating what they see others use. I'm not saying that they're doing that. but I can see people saying that, especially when the stories add up and are very similar in a way. And if you don't know what a tainted drink is, based off of stuff that I've seen on like crime series and stuff like that, is basically exactly what it is. Like you're kind of like almost forced into compliance, like Jesse Weber just said, or Weber. I'm sorry if it says his name wrong, but yeah, you put some in your drink, kind of woo you to sleep, whatever, and then you wake up, you don't know what's going on probably. And if they're waking up to being sexual assaulted, then I my prayers are to you to recover mentally, physically, and emotionally, and spiritually. And God will protect you forever. He always will.
Okay.
But
and while a few victims say they were able to fight back, many others say they couldn't control their bodies enough to try to get away. Back to Jane Doe. She says when Combs was through with her, they dropped her off. The complaint states she was eventually taken home and left in the lobby of her building by the same driver, John Doe 1 and or John Doe 2, who was present when she was picked up. By the way, one of the reasons that these people might be listed as John Doe 1 and John Doe 2 is because she might not know who these people's names are, but during the course of this litigation, during the course of discovery, those names will be known to her, and they might be named as defendants in this case. Now, this...
Okay, now I'm not saying I have an issue with this, but it's not an issue. Nowhere near an issue. I would think in that scenario that, the anonymous woman, not girl, the anonymous woman would that same day or the next day, like, you gotta report that type of stuff. That's a serious thing. If you get raped, that is a serious thing, man. That is not nothing to play about. If you get sexually assaulted, that is a serious thing. You need to tell somebody immediately. If you're scared to tell the police yourself, take somebody with you, call them with somebody next to you, and let them know what happened that moment. Because sometimes if you wait too late, it'll be too late to kind of recover things. And I'm not saying this is too late. It's 25 years later. If she can prove it, she can prove it. But, that same night, you got to do it. Because it's easier to get it done. It's faster. They get proven guilty. Boom. Case over. Justice is served. And a lot of people are scared to speak up. I'm telling you right now, don't be scared to speak up. I promise everything will be fine.
This is another allegation, though, that has been repeated in both state and federal civil lawsuits, that Combs' associates not only knew what was going on, but they helped him drug his victims, that they stood by as these people were assaulted, that they did nothing to stop it. For example, the lawsuit that was filed against Combs by Texas attorney Tony Busby that also names music industry titan Jay-Z, that asserts that a 13-year-old girl was able to escape a New York home where Combs was throwing a party in 2000 after she claimed she was raped by these two men. Well, she also claims that a female celebrity who's not been identified was in the room watching these assaults happen. Her complaint also claims that she ran out of that home naked, past other party guests who seemingly didn't react to a nude teenager fleeing the scene. That's why there's so many conversations about who's on this Diddy list, who else is going to be named, who else is going to be implicated, that if all of these allegations are true against Sean Combs, no one saw anything? No one was complicit in this? But comparing this again to another lawsuit, we have another man who claims that he was just 10 years old when he traveled with his parents to New York to audition for Sean Combs, but his parents didn't accompany him to his meeting with the rapper at a Manhattan hotel, he claims, and John Doe says that Combs wanted to see his singing and dancing abilities. Other people were reportedly in the room too. The boy didn't know who they were. According to his complaint, he filed a lawsuit against Sean Combs, also filed by Tony Busby.
Have you noticed YouTube has way more ads than it used to?
Yeah,
you can walk them
buddy.
for free.
This is Pi.
Quote, plaintiff performed several rap songs for Combs. Combs complimented plaintiff on his rapping and told plaintiff that he could make him a star. Combs asked plaintiff how badly he wanted to be a star and what plaintiff would do to get to be one. Plaintiff responded, as might any 10-year-old child, that he would do anything.
And that's ironic because, if you go watch the, the not Puff Diddy, if you go watch the Biggie movie, Notorious Big, the one that came out like in 2010s or 2009 or something like that. It's a similar story with, with Biggie when he was trying to get off the streets. He had just got out of jail where his friend took that gun charge for him and everything. So if y'all get a chance, go watch that movie and come back to this video. That specific part right there.
John Doe says after he said that, one of the other people in the room, an associate of Sean Combs, gave this boy a soda, made him feel funny. Eventually, he claims Combs then forced him to perform oral sex on him.
What?
And he eventually lost consciousness. The lawsuit says he was in a significant amount of pain when he woke up and that Combs threatened that if he told anyone, including his parents, what happened, he would hurt them. So going back now to the Babysitter's lawsuit against the rapper, it reads, given the extensive media coverage of Combs' abusive treatment of women, defendants Bad Boy Entertainment Holding, Inc. and Combs Enterprises, LLC had knowledge and were put on notice of the sexual abuse allegations made against them. So that's a way to get them on the hook for this. That's the way that you're trying to make these companies liable. Now, I'm unsure if that's actually going to work, if it's going to be sufficient, because usually you hold a company liable if the employee or owner was acting within the scope of his employment or was using company resources to commit the offense. They say enabling his behavior, maybe, might work. But I also have to say, yes, this lawsuit, if you read it, is quite bare bones, right? There's not a lot of corroborating information.
If you look at the lawsuit up on the internet,
count,
it's
though,
hard
is very
to
similar to other lawsuits that we've seen that is based, again, primarily on the alleged victim's account. It doesn't list out all of the pieces of evidence, and you don't have to. It's a lower standard to merely file a complaint. You just need to make statements that are sufficiently particular, that make clear what the claims are. They provide the parties notice of what is being alleged, what the elements of the claims are. But I will say, this allegedly happening back in 2000, you may not have all the documentary evidence that you would have in another case, right? The text messages, emails, photos, videos. It may exist during the course of discovery and during the course of this litigation, but it may not. We'll see if there's enough evidence to actually support the claims. But Combs' legal team responded to this latest lawsuit in a statement to People magazine
on their responses.
No matter how many lawsuits are filed, it won't change the fact that Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted or sex trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. We live in a world where anyone can file a lawsuit for any reason.
That's true.
Fortunately, a fair and impartial judicial process exists to find the truth, and Mr. Combs is confident he will prevail in court. Now, he's certainly right. Anybody who can file a lawsuit doesn't mean that there wouldn't be consequences of filing a frivolous lawsuit. But you have to imagine, with all of these claims, everybody's a liar, everybody's not telling the truth.
That's a good point, too.
To think about.
That's a good point. So, he made a good point right there. As I said, innocent until proven guilty.
With Vico's rate shop.
Now,
but with so many people making a similar claim or anything like that, how does it, at what point do you probably have an inside feeling like somebody has to be possibly telling the truth? It's a lot. That baby oil stuff, like they say, all the sexual allegations and everything like that. So, like I said, you're always innocent until proven guilty. I know I've said that a lot, but we just gotta see, bro. We just gotta see.
Jane Doe is requesting a trial by jury, seeking a judgment against the defendants, quote, in a sum to be determined at a trial of this action, and any further relief the court deems is proper. But now we want to quickly turn to that federal case. And as I mentioned before, we want to give you a quick update on the timeline for Combs' federal trial in the Southern District of New York. So the prosecution and the defense, they most recently debated pre-trial deadlines in a joint letter to Judge Arun Subramanian. To give you the gist, the prosecution argued that the May 5th trial date is approaching very, very quickly, that they may not be able to get everything done that they're entitled to before the trial gets underway. In the letter, the prosecution stated, while the defendant is fully entitled to request a speedy trial, that does not mean that he's entitled to demand disclosure deadlines appropriate in cases with significantly longer timelines. Accordingly, the government objects to any schedule, including that proposed by the defendant, requiring the government to make trial disclosures before the filing and or resolution of pretrial motions. Bottom line, there's a lot of things that need to be worked out in this case, particularly by the court. We shouldn't have to, at this point, disclose more information about our case. It's too premature. The defense, though, took a different position, saying the government needs to disclose information as soon as possible. The defense objects to a modification of the existing pretrial schedule, which has been set for months. Defense counsel have planned around the existing schedule and are not in a position to file pretrial motions in just 4 weeks and only 1 month after the close of discovery, which included thousands of pages of search warrant affidavits. By the way, we did a whole sidebar on this. We broke down the different pretrial motions that we expect over the next several weeks, and I encourage everybody, if you're interested in this, to go check it out on our long-time
he has his
YouTube
case in
page.
May, so
Here's what the judge decided will be the schedule moving forward, and this is important. On February 1st, the enterprise letter is due. Now, this is big because that letter filed by the prosecution should be laying out the specific acts and conduct that it says proves the racketeering conspiracy count, the main charge in this indictment that allegedly shows Combs and his associates were acting as one criminal enterprise. The defense says they need to know how to properly defend their client. They need more details. So when this enterprise letter is filed, I think it might give all of us a little bit more clarity on the prosecution's
So be on the
case.
lookout
Maybe we'll
February
even do a
1st, we're gonna
sidebar on
react
that
to
when it
that.
comes out. But I mean, according to a filing, it says the enterprise letter will also give the defense notice of the specific objects of the charged racketeering conspiracy, including, to the extent possible, the dates, times, places, and participants for each racketeering act. So that's due February 1st. Keep an eye out for that. Then, on February 17th, both sides need to have their pretrial motions filed. 2 weeks after that, opposition filings are due. Replies to those filings are due 1 week later, March 10th. And then when it comes to jury selection, which will likely be a massive undertaking given Sean Combs' worldwide celebrity and how much coverage there has been of this case, the proposed jury questionnaire forms are due April 11th, according to the judge's schedule. That is essentially the first step in this process, the forms that are sent out to prospective jurors to gauge their eligibility for jury service. But that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.
All right, not much to say after all that. It's a lot. Like I said, I'm curious to see how this plays out. Let me know what y'all think, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all think he's guilty of any of the crimes being charged against him? Do you think he's guilty of all the crimes? Do you think he didn't do anything? And just be honest. I don't have an honest opinion. I don't watch too much of this case in general. But, you know, you see it, so let me know what y'all think, bro. And it's been a pleasure. Make sure y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe to the channel, bro. And I'm out. Peace.